A pandemic has been rising across the globe, penetrating big cities, small villages, and create chronic psychological distress to millions of families. My family, especially my mother. What is this horrifying disease? It's called SMS, Superstitious Mother's Syndrome. Ask the people around you if they know anyone or their family is affected by SMS. Chances almost all of them will tell you that they have been a victim of SMS since their childhood. Fellow Toastmasters and any of you SMS mothers out there, if you're so immune to even realize the chronic effects and downplay its significance, let me share my personal experience, and you will understand why this psychological distress will remain with me for the rest of my life. So, first of all, I would like to tell you my personal statement as when I was a child. Recently, I looked at my 4-year-old nephew deep in the eyes, and I found a reflection of myself as a kid. He's always climbing up and down the stairs and the chairs, running back and forth, screaming frantically as in and out of the room, and mischievously scattering a few of Lego mines on the ground, and which will serve you an agonizing foot massage if you're not careful. That is when I finally realized why and the reason behind the creation of many of these superstitious stories. Let me give you a couple examples. My mama said, "Don't run like a maniac or you get nightmares." Did that stop me from running? Absolutely not. Let me give you a better example, one that works better. I grew up in Vietnam, and oftentimes power outage happened very frequent at nights. And back then there was no cell phone, there was no internet. So how did we entertain ourselves? By playing with the candle fire. So my mama didn't really like that idea because she's risking of burning down her house. So my mama said, "Don't play with your shadows or they will come eat you," as she conjured a beast with gigantic wings pretending to swallow me on the wall. If that wasn't enough to scare off all the kids, she summoned a werewolf with its mouth opening and closing at us. Grab, 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 grab. But you're saying, wait a minute, that's just stuff that my mother made up to scare the kid. There's nothing superstitious about it at all. Well, oh, you just wait. My mama also said, "Don't walk under the pants or you'll be very stupid." In Vietnam, people hang their clothes on rope high above head level. If you walk underneath it, you can be stupid, according to my mom. So now, whenever I see hanging pants, I will kind of envision collapsing spikes that require serious tactical navigation to safely get around it. She's certainly proven that is true with the fact that both my brother and I remain smart, and we were able to graduate from college. But even after graduation, my psychological distress remained with me. A few years ago, when my nephew Alex was born, my mother had a relapse in a more severe form. SGS, Superstitious Grandmother Syndrome. This time, I was trying to bake a banana bread for my nephew. I got all the ingredients in the bowl, mix it in, and shove it into the oven. A few minutes later, Alex came by and looked at the oven window, and he said, "It smells so good." I smiled at him and I said, "It was gonna be so big." And his grandma sprinted into the kitchen and whisper, shh, don't talk to the bread or it won't rise. And if you're wondering why she was doing this, she was touching wood. That is undeniably superstitious. Now you're probably thinking about your own family condition and eager to learn about the cure for this terrible disease. Trust me, I Googled superstitious mother syndrome, and I got almost 500,000 hits. Every single one of them every single one of them stated the problems, but none of them offer any solution. And that's when I come to realize, do we actually need a cure for this disease? Should we embrace or should we replace it with pure boring facts? That is when I think we need to kind of embrace it. This is such a beautiful culture. What a shame that we lose such a vibrant culture. The creative mind games, and also the imprinted memories that shape every single part of us from generation into the next generation down the road. So today, if I ask my mother, why are you still lying and scaring the kids? My mama would say, no problem. Not matter white cats or black cats. As long you got 8 lucky cats, they're all good cats. And that is my mother's superstitious way of saying, who cares? It works. And that is exactly what my mother said. And so basically that's the end of my demonstration speech. And I just want to point out a couple things and let you guys know how I crafted my speech. A couple things. So I started my speech with a very serious tone. A pandemic, a disease that affects my family and your family. And then I switched it to SMS, and I got my laugh in right up in the beginning. And that was my attention-grabbing introduction. The next thing I want to tell you is be simple and relatable. Find a topic that's simple. Don't make it overcomplicated. And something that can be relatable to all your audience as much as you can. And I actually have a theme for my story, and that is my mother's superstition. I shared 3 types of superstitious stories. 1 story is when I grew up, 2 stories that's still affecting me today, and 3 stories that affect the next generation, my nephew. They're all different stories at different points of time, but they have a same central theme. You also need to be creative. A couple months ago, I gave a speech and I told you guys it's okay to lie in a speech contest. About 85% of the stuff that I said probably true, or all true, and about 50 all true, and about 50% stuff I probably made up a little bit. Does it matter if my mom actually said those words word by word, those phrases word by word? No. Does it matter, or does it really matter even she have to speak in such a funny accent? Absolutely not. Don't be afraid to use your creativity to enhance your speech. And lastly, you want to contribute something meaningful and provoke your audience thoughts. In my example, the turning point is at the end when I asked, do we actually need a cue for SMS? And then I cleverly used my mother's code to answer that question. And so I also ended my speech with my Momma Said, which was the title of my speech. So it's kind of loop around, started where you are and then drop off of where you were in the beginning. So if you need any help or suggestion about speech contest, let me know and we'll discuss more about it. Or you want to talk about my sample speech, feel free to do so. I only had 1 week to prepare for this speech, so obviously I'm not the best, but you guys have 2 weeks, so you should be much better than I do, right? So sign up for a speech contest. Have fun mastering the art of contest speech crafting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.